Howdy, welcome to another tutorial on how to manage your school's webpage. My name is Chris. Today I will be taking you through how to manage your home page. So let's just do the usual. Starting up, I will right click the school name and open link a new tab. That way I can bounce back and forth between the front end of the website and the administrative area. So let's talk about the home page just really quick. You have in each template a little bit of a different layout. That's okay. The basic principles that we are talking about today are the same. So on your home page you have your header, which is this part. You have your menus right here, and then you have everything else, which is managed through widgets. Even this spot right up here in your header is managed through a widget as well, and we'll talk about what those are. So how exactly do we find the content for our home page? Well, most often people look up here under this pages menu and they go to all pages and they say, wait a second, I'm not seeing my home page in there. How do I change something up there? Well, it's not in all pages. That is why you won't be able to find it there. It's actually managed through Appearance Widgets. So let's click into that real quick. So when this widgets page loads, you get two parts. You have this section right here, which are all your available widgets, and then you have this section over here to the right, which is a listing of all of the widget areas. It's as simple as dragging and dropping a widget into the widget area where you want it. The main question is, we have a bunch of widget areas. This specific template has 14, I think. How do I know exactly which widget area displays where on my home page? Well, let's find that out really quick. If I open up a new tab, let's take you to the tutorials site. On the tutorials site, I have taken a screenshot and labeled where each of the widget areas are on each template. You hover over this themes menu and you can choose Widgets, Halcyon, Inspire, or Simplicity, and as more templates arise they will be added to this list. Because we are using Inspire, let's go ahead and click into there. If you are using Widgets or Halcyon, click into there. Again, it's the same. So you'll scroll down and you'll find a spot on there called 14 widget areas. So this is a little hard to see, so I'm going to click that image and expand it a little bit so we can see a little bit more of what's going on. So you'll notice no matter which one you clicked on, whether it was the one in Widgets, Halcyon, Simplicity, or if you're following along with this, the Inspire, you'll see that I've gone through and labeled each widget area. Here we have a header right, we have home top left, quick access links, quote me. The home top left is actually where the slider is in the Inspire template. I think in the other templates I actually named them home slider or home page slider or something like that. So don't worry if it's not labeled the same. It's basically just the visual representation of where it is. Also have a quote me, then home middle 1, 2, and 3. And if we scroll a little bit down, I'll try to do it slowly so we don't make you puke. We have home bottom left, home bottom right, footer 1, 2, and 3. Now something to understand is that the footer 1, 2, and 3, and also, scroll up here, the header right, those widgets show up on every single page, meaning the header and the footer widgets show up on your home page, your blog pages, your news pages, just every single page they will show up on your calendar. Those are site-wide widget areas. These ones, the home top left, the quick access, the quote me, and the other ones labeled as home, those are only homepage ones. So let's take a look at the header right. There are actually two widget areas that are required by the district. The header right is one, and then this quick access links is another. So let's take a look over here, click into widgets, and we have header right in this widget area. Again, these are the widget areas. In each one of these, quote me, home middle 1, home middle 2, home middle 3, etc. Each of those widget areas correspond to an image on this map. So header right, quote me, home middle 1, home middle 2, home middle 3. I hope you're seeing how that works there. And each of these is the same for whatever template you are using, meaning these widget areas in your admin will match this diagram for the template that you are using. So if you're using Halcyon, look at the Halcyon diagram. If you're using Simplicity, look at the Simplicity diagram. And these widget areas here will map out to those. So head to right, I expand that, and you'll see a widget in here called Simple Social Icons. That's the same one down here. I basically just dragged it and dropped it. Let's scroll up there real quick into the widget area. But I don't want to drag a second one in there, so let's let it go. So the Simple Social Icons, I expand that, and notice I open links in a new window. That means if I click one of these, it's going to open in a new tab or window depending on your browser. And then you have your background colors here. This background color happens to be a red. The background hover color happens to be a brick red. Let's just demonstrate. So notice the red, and then if I hover over it, the background color changes to a brick red. These down here are basically just URLs to each of your individual social media profiles. The district requires that you have a Twitter URL and a Facebook URL. If you don't have one for your school, it's not the end of the world. Just go ahead and link to the Facebook URL for the Granite School District and the Facebook URL and the Twitter one for the Granite. And we keep ours up to date on a daily basis. Moving on, once you have that, you can just save the settings down there. I'm going to close. And I apologize for all this scrolling, kind of working in a small screen area here. And you can just expand any one that you want to access. So on the home top left, for example, we have the Slide Deck 2 widget. Now notice that right here I have put in a little description of what goes in there. So for example, in the home top left or your home slider, you will have a little explanatory text that will tell you what the dimensions are. For example, in Inspire, the dimension for your slideshow should be 615 by 310 for a best fit. And your other ones will have a different dimension in there. So you can expand the Slide Deck 2 widget and choose from the different sliders that you have. The other required area is this quick access links. In Halcyon, I believe that is the home top left is where the quick access links go. Whatever it is, I have an explanatory text in there to tell you to put quick access links via a text widget. Notice that I have that going on right here. I've put in a text widget and I have the quick access. So once you have your simple social icons and your quick access via a text link widget, those are the two required things. Everything else you can mix and match and play around with if you want. And I will be writing up a tutorial of how I set up the demo site for every template. So basically, let's just demonstrate down here on the bottom one. We have footer 3. If I want something in footer 3, I am going to drag it. Let's see, what did I pick? Let's use a search, a little bit simpler. If I take a search and I drag it over here to the right, notice that it has a dashed box. That is where it is going to drop. If I want to drop it between those two, I can drag it on either spot. I'm going to add it to the bottom of footer 3. In here, each one has a title. You can give it a title. Just so you can see how it works, I am going to write search title and then save that widget. Now, if I pop back over here to the front end of the website, let's refresh the page and scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see it looks like my footer 3 is very full. Down at the bottom, here we have the search widget. Here's the search title that I entered in, and that's what the widget does. Now, let's say I don't want it in that widget area anymore, and it's actually kind of full. You saw that, right? We have footer 1, 2, and 3. They're all fairly small except for footer 3. So if I want to remove search title, the search, I just click it, drag and drop it out. and I drop it back over here into the available widgets area. But let's say I've been working on a widget for a while and I don't want to lose its settings. For example, this blog subscriptions or something like that. You have this inactive widgets area down here below. I can take blog subscriptions and drag and drop it down here into this inactive widgets, and it will keep the settings exactly how I have them, and that way I can use it later should I choose to. So at any point in time I can come back over here, take this widget from inactive widgets and drop it back into a widget area, and it will display there for me again. But I don't want it at all, so I'm going to remove it. And now my footer 1, footer 2, and footer 3 each have one thing, all about the relatively same size. There you go. Do. So that's pretty much it for your home page and how it's managed. I really just recommend going around playing with it. Sometimes it can be a little bit stressful changing your widgets around on your home page. It feels very big or very committal. Let's talk about the primary sidebar just really quickly. If I click into a blog post or wherever else, you'll see that there's an area over here to the right. You might be over here to the left depending on which layout you have selected. But this is the primary sidebar widget area. This doesn't actually show up on your home page, it shows up everywhere else. So if I want to change something on this primary sidebar, I find the widget area for primary sidebar, which is right there. I click that, and notice I have a custom menu, a search, upcoming events, Genesis categories. So if you actually watched the menus tutorial, you'll recognize this custom menu widget. It's one that we put together in that tutorial. If I click over here, you'll see that those widgets correspond to these widgets in the primary sidebar. Honestly, the primary sidebar is, in my opinion, the best place to experiment with what a widget does. You're curious to what the functionality of the featured page widget is? Great. Drag it over into your primary sidebar and experiment with it. It's non-committal, it's easy to change out, and it doesn't feel like you're changing everything around on the home page. So that's where I'd recommend doing that. And that, folks, is pretty much widgets and how to manage your home page. There are a lot of widgets. We're not going to go through each of those. I would just recommend reading each of the descriptions below it and taking it over into the primary sidebar to see what it does first. And that's that. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, my name is Chris. You can contact me via the communications office. Thanks. See ya.